Well, welcome everyone to the Owensboro Board of Commissioners. This is a special called meeting, so we're not allowed to deviate from the agenda at all. So at this time, I'd ask for the City Clerk, Beth Cecil, to please call the roll.
Commissioner Jeff Sanford.
Here.
Commissioner Larry Conder.
Here.
Mayor Tom Watson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Larry Maglaner.
Here.
Commissioner Pam Smith-Wright.
Here.
Thank you, Ms. Cecil. At this time, we'll have the invocation and the pledge by Commissioner Larry Conder.
Thank you, Mayor.
Welcome.
If everyone would please bow your heads and pray or silent meditation, whichever be your choice. Dear Father God, we thank you for these days that we have. We thank you for all of our first responders, our soldiers that are here and that are abroad. Just celebrating Independence Day, a day where a ragtag group of individuals declared freedom and liberty for all. We thank you for our city, our staff, and all the work that we try to do for your will. Please bless our minds, bless our hearts, and bless our words, that they all three do your will. In this I ask in your name, and the commission says, amen. Now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Conder. Our first item on the agenda is to consider personnel appointments. City Manager Nate Pagan.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Joseph Calvert, probationary, full-time, non-civil service appointment to Public Works laborer maintenance helper with the Grounds Department effective July 15th. Don Troutman, probationary, full-time, non-civil service promotional appointment to refuse truck driver with sanitation effective July 15th. Nathaniel Pagan, regular, full-time, non-civil service appointment to city manager effective June 24th. And Jeffrey Roby, regular, full-time, non-civil service appointment to evidence collection unit technician with the police department effective July 2nd.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion from the dais? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 4B are ordinances. It's a first reading. There'll be no vote, and council will read them all the way through. Council.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Ordinance 18-2019, an ordinance repealing Ordinance 12-2019 in its entirety, which was approved by the Owensboro Board of Commissioners on June 4th, 2019, declaring the City of Owensboro's intent to annex into the city certain unincorporated territory in the County of Davis adjoining the present boundary line of the city, being property located at 2280 Tamarack Road, containing 48.296 acres, more or less. Ordinance 19-2019, an ordinance repealing Ordinance 13-2019 in its entirety, which was approved by the Owensboro Board of Commissioners on June 4th, 2019, declaring the City of Owensboro's intent to annex into the city certain unincorporated territory in the County of Davis, adjoining the present boundary line of the city, being property located at 4610 and 4514 Gates Drive and 1621 Southtown Drive, containing 52.238 acres, more or less. Ordinance 20-2019, an ordinance repealing Ordinance 14-2019 in its entirety, which was approved by the Owensboro Board of Commissioners on June 4th, 2019, declaring the City of Owensboro's intent to annex into the city certain unincorporated territory in the County of Davis, adjoining the present boundary line of the city, being property located at 1622 Southeastern Parkway, containing 6.370 acres, more or less. Ordinance 21-2019, an ordinance repealing Ordinance 15-2019 in its entirety, which was approved by the Owensboro Board of Commissioners on June 4th, 2019, declaring the City of Owensboro's intent to annex into the city certain unincorporated territory in the County of Davis, adjoining the present boundary line of the city, being property located at 4255 New Hartford Road, containing 31.683 acres, more or less. Ordinance 22-2019, an ordinance repealing Ordinance 16-2019 in its entirety, which was approved by the Owensboro Board of Commissioners on June 4th, 2019, declaring the City of Owensboro's intent to annex into the city certain unincorporated territory in the County of Davis, adjoining the present boundary line of the city, being property located at 6,000 Fairview Drive, containing 22.799 acres more or less. Ordinance 23-2019, an ordinance repealing Ordinance 17-2019 in its entirety, which was approved by the Owensboro Board of Commissioners on June 4th, 2019, declaring the City of Owensboro's intent to annex into the city certain unincorporated territory in the County of Davis, adjoining the present boundary line of the city, being property located at 2909 Highway 54, containing 14.877 acres more or less. Ordinances 18-2019, 19-2019, 20-2019, 21-2019, 22-2019, and 23-2019 are introduced and publicly read on first reading this 9th day of July, 2019.
Thank you. At this time, I'll have entertain any discussion from the public, if you have any. All right. How about the commission? Commissioner Condon.
Thank you, Mayor. For points of clarification, please, maybe City Manager Nate Pagan could address. This would mean that the Davis County Public School agreement that had been worked on so hard basically goes away. Is that correct?
That would be correct. Obviously, if we do not move forward with the annexations, then that potential arrangement is not valid.
The other party that was involved in the annexation is Davis County Fiscal Court. I understand that there was also an agreement with them. What happens with that, and is it in effect going forward for other annexations?
No, that agreement was specific to the school properties and to potential non-consensual annexations of the school property. So that agreement also would no longer be valid.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you, Nate.
Commissioner Magliner.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be out of town Thursday when we do the second reading, and I just want to say that I vote yes if I was going to be here, and I agree with it. Thank you.
Okay, I have a prepared statement I'd like to read to you. First, let me say I'll take full responsibility for the recent events concerning the intent to annex certain designated properties inside the city that are owned by DCPS. When the idea was brought to me, I voiced my concerns as I believed it would be very bold, that there was a short time to get it accomplished, and it would be very controversial. But there were two thoughts that made this effort worth consideration. First, as you've heard me say many times, the city is basically landlocked, with the river to the north, no contiguous land to the west to annex. South of Sam's on Frederica is the floodplain and the floodway, and east is where the TIF is located. As elected officials and staff, we are constantly looking for ways to grow the city, and an aggressive annexation policy is a must, especially with the looming uncertainty of our pension responsibilities. Secondarily, I was interested in evening the playing field over a larger group to spread out the cost of running a progressive city, having more folks contribute to the city for services they enjoy. This was never intended to divide the community, but to have everyone contribute as equally as possible. Obviously, this did not happen as intended. I truly hate the fact that so many different groups were drawn into the discussion. At the request of the commission, the staff was directed to try to compromise with each group to make this effort as palatable as possible, while still keeping our original goal in mind to increase the city's assets through annexation. I cannot say enough about the efforts of our staff as they tried diligently to accommodate each group to reach some sort of compromise. In the end, sometimes a bad compromise is worse than no deal at all. Last week I polled the commission, and we all decided to pull the plug on this opportunity to prepare for the unknown. I believe it serves no purpose to get into the weeds pertaining to the discussions leading to this conclusion, and I will have no further comment on this matter. Okay? Good. Presentations. Transit date update. Transit date. I got a date with Pamela Canary.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for the opportunity to present information regarding transit operations. I'd like to start by stating that I plan to review the following topics with you this afternoon: ridership numbers, public awareness, OTS enhancements, customer service, and funding, which would be our grants and toll credits. Some of the efforts to promote ridership has been increasing public awareness, enhancements to Owensboro transit operations, customer service, which I will go into greater detail on the next few slides, transportation agreements with colleges and universities. Recently, Owensboro Transit entered into an agreement with Kentucky Wesleyan and Owensboro Community College to allow their students to ride at no charge for a flat fee. The colleges have agreed to pay for unlimited public transportation for their students for a lump sum annual amount. Students will show their student ID and be allowed on the bus. With KWC being downtown, it afforded the opportunity to enhance their transportation agreement to include downtown trolley service on Fridays and Saturdays. Not only providing students with transportation to downtown public events, restaurants, and shops, this also encouraged and promoted student community engagement. We also provide public event transportation, such as the Strawberry Festival in Beaver Dam, the Elizabeth Monday Center, Air Show, 4th of July, Estes Career Day, Romp, the Lions Club in Whitesville, Fordsville Historical Society, Leadership Kentucky, and etc. OTS also has their own, we also have our own special events, which are free ride days, such as National Dump the Pump Day, which promotes riding public transportation instead of driving in order to save money. Get on board for public transportation, which you would ride, whether you ride or not. Public transportation is valuable to your community by stimulating the economy, providing transportation to seniors, and it also helps save the environment. We also offer 12 Days of Christmas, and all of these events are free to the general public. Public awareness is one of the big things that we've really tried to utilize to increase ridership, such as Facebook and Twitter, or social media. This allows us to keep our riders up to date on current events such as road closures and route detours. We also utilize the local media such as Owensboro Time, Messenger Inquirer, WBKR, WFIE, in order to announce those public events and those free days, ride days. We have created a trolley pamphlet that we hand out to all the downtown hotels and tourist attractions so that they can hand those out to visitors. This educates the general public regarding our operational hours and where the stops are. We also hand deliver information to multiple agencies regarding special events. We also have special group rides. For instance, Burns Elementary School, they requested that we allow a group of families that needed additional information on how public transportation worked. They organized the whole event, showed up at like 5:30 in the afternoon, and I handed out information. We took a ride on a city bus and just answered questions and so forth. We are also attending local college orientations where we will set up a booth and hand out information to educate the students on service hours and days of operations. Some of OTS enhancements have been every 6 months we detail the buses, have it professionally detailed. We updated signage and removed unnecessary signage for a more professional image. Relocated bus stop signs as needed. We're in the process of installing new shelters and benches throughout the city. We provide monthly safety training for our staff, which includes outside agency presentations such as loss control and physical therapist and so forth. Another enhancement has been the increase in employee job satisfaction. The increase in job satisfaction, primarily a big token of that was the pay increase that you guys approved, and it was greatly appreciated by my staff. I have also taken the opportunity to engage the employees, and by doing so, I just keep them up to date on new hires, new developments, milestones. I try to regularly acknowledge their a job well done. We recognize birthdays, which all in all has reduced turnover. I'm in the process of putting together a questionnaire to survey the local businesses for after-hour transportation needs. I have had conversation with UniFirst and TTMA. Both have said that after-hour transportation is truly needed. So I have expanded that list of organizations, and we will hand out questionnaires to find out where the needs are. I included a list of locations for shelters and benches. We plan on putting shelters at St. Benedict's, the Cigar Factory Mall, Ragu Drive, Kohl's, Walmart, Sisson Manor, Hartwood Apartments, Bond Harbor Post Office, and across from OMU. We plan to put benches in at Friendship Drive, Garden Grace, Lincoln Plaza, on Tamarack Road, J.R. Miller, Home Depot, Frederica at Washington Street, Casey's General Store, J.R. Miller at 7th Street.
Ms. Canary, are there opportunities for business to advertise on those benches like I've seen before?
There is through the Lions Club.
Through the
They
Lions
would
Club.
contact them directly.
Thank you.
The next thing would be focusing on customer service. We have participated in puzzle piece staffing training regarding wheelchair restraints and ways to assist the agency to enhance ridership and client experience. We have educated local agencies on the service that OTS can provide, such as ADA paratransit and special event service available. We have, I do monthly review of driver performance with quarterly one-on-one meetings with the drivers. I included some ridership data. In calendar year 2017, the total ridership was 253,000. In 2018, it was 255,000. And for the first 6 months of this year, it's been 158,000, projecting that it could possibly reach 300,000, which is almost a 25% increase. Special event rides, just to give you a scenario, last year we had for Dump the Pump about 1,000 riders. This year we had 1,700. I've also included a little bit of information about our funding. For this coming year, we are receiving $1.6 million from the FTA and $95,000 worth of toll credits, which is a savings to the city. That is $95,000 that the city will not have to contribute to OTS. And then for our 5339 formula grant, we're going to receive $150,000, and they've also given us toll credits for that, so the city won't have to match any portion of that grant, which is a total savings to $133,000 directly to the city. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, Ms. Canary, I want to thank you first, and I will tell you that USDOT is very impressed with what you're doing, and I think that helps us with those toll credits and things that you're getting for our community. And I want to thank you for your efforts.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the OBKY update. Leland Bigfoot Hancock.
That's right, Mayor. I'm as good as it gets. Leland Hancock, Assistant City Manager. You know, I have to pride each department, just as Pamela was just up here. The OBKY project is not just something the committee came up with all the citizens' input, but it takes every one of these people over here to make it happen. I've been in the paper talking about it, but each one of these individuals is involved. Pamela being one of the biggest cheerleaders and one of the biggest successes. Transit was one of the long-term goals, and she has done a fabulous job. The mayor talks often about building those relationships, and indeed she has gone to Frankfurt and is building those relationships. But she also does it on a local level with her staff, with businesses, the colleges, and those groups. So she's helped make one of those OBKY projects a huge success. And it's not like you just hang it on a hook on the wall and say it's finished. She'll continue to do that and flourish over there. So she was a great selection. I didn't get the pride in selecting. I know Wayne and the group that did, but they did an excellent job. I'm very happy to have her there. You know, some other long-term goals we have, there's downtown affordable housing, community development is working on. We've got an RFP that'll be coming out to work on some of those issues. English Park, if you got an RV, we're working on getting some numbers and things developed there so that you can go down and pull up at English Park, hook up to electric service and all the other utilities that you're required to have to enjoy our wonderful riverfront. The Neighborhood Alliance 2.0, Adrienne Carrico, the mayor knows well. She's done a fabulous job with that, and it too is an ongoing project. It's something that she'll just continue to improve upon. She's got more participation already in the neighborhood alliances, and I can't say enough about
Now
all
she's
that.
really up.
She
great at
does.
that.
She does a great job. In customer service, Josh Bachmeyer's not here tonight, our silent assassin, but he's done a great job as well. All of the frontline staff, including myself, have finished some customer service training. It helps all of us to brush up every now and then, ensure that we're being as polite as possible and dealing with all the various issues that we deal with, the emails, phone calls, and sometimes just people popping in the lobby, and sometimes they're not very happy. So lots of times they are. Going on to short-term goals, Tim Ross is going to give you an update on the districts, which has been a huge success. Community policing, I have to pride Chief Elam and his staff. The list of events that our police department attends, goes to, is involved with is endless. They make every opportunity to get out and reach out to the community in every positive way possible, from 100 men who cook to going to the schools and doing trainings to, you know, shop with the cop, all the different things that go on. I mean, there's no corner that he's left unturned that he didn't look for a way to touch and reach out to the community. So, and he's done a fabulous job. All of OPD does. Community financing, I have to thank Angela Hamrick and the finance department as well. We've got the OBKY community financial report that's gone out, and in August we'll have another that's the OBKY budget report that'll kind of give you an idea, more of a Cliff's Notes and a condensed information. Our budget manual is quite exhausting. I know Nate and Angela and our budget manuals are even more exhausting than that. So it kind of gives you just that quick Cliff's Notes of what's going on, where the money comes from, where it goes. And
That's that budget for dummies for me, wasn't it?
I won't call it a budget for dummies because it's quite exhausting, but there's a lot of effort that goes into that, and each one of the departments, how they spend their money and what they do, and you know, the areas of Owensboro that are better because of it. The last one is one that's pretty exciting. I'm hoping to come out with here shortly. I'll give a little pre-information on the downtown arts projects. When the River Arts program began, I got to be involved with that. Stephen Franklin got to take that over after I left Public Works. But we've got some murals that are coming out. So we've got 2 artists selected. We have 2 murals that the renderings are painted. We have 1 location that's solidified and a sponsor there, and I've got the second one that we're courting right now. So I'm hoping this fall, Tim and I are working on trying to do an event there once we get everything settled to be able to debut those. And I think if you've seen the side of the CVB building and things like that, and some of the other murals that are downtown, they'll be very complimentary and something that people will be happy to see. So with that being said, you know, most of the OBKY projects are not just something to say this is done and you set it on the shelf. Most all of them are works in progress and will continue to be that way. With that being said, I'd like to answer any questions you have, and I'll turn it over to Tim for
Just one
district
question.
update. Yes, sir.
What about the pig and the Mayor's Mile? Where are we on that?
Mayor's Mile, the banners are hung. I thank Public Works for that. Tim and I have some information to get to the hotels, but we hung those banners the Monday after Barbecue Festival, so kind of did a soft opening on that, and the individuals are already out there using that.
Good, thank you.
Miley the pig, had a little run-in, but
Y'all tried to make bacon out of him.
everybody loves bacon. But no, we'll have her back out soon, so
Okay, good, thank you.
thank
Anybody
you.
else? Thank you.
I'll let Tim Ross talk to you about the district.
Next item is district update. Tim Ross, Public Events Director Extraordinaire.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission.
What
The
time match your cups, or what's the deal?
Not on purpose.
Okay.
It's a little different shade, I think, actually. But for an update on the district and the new open containers that are allowed for certain events, Friday After 5 was the one that we kicked off about a month and a half ago. And so far, as it came out in a couple of articles, it's just been a big success. No real issues or concerns. I know OPD, and we worked with them numerous times about different scenarios and kind of how they would attack that from a public service standpoint of informing folks what's allowed and what's not allowed. And we've had no issues with that so far. After, we're about 7 weeks in, 8 weeks in. We've got 11 different businesses downtown in the downtown core, which is what we anticipated would probably want to participate based on their cafe seating and the atmosphere of those places. And none of them have expressed any issues with it so far. They're all very complimentary. About the only thing that we've heard from them from a suggestion side is to expand that and potentially offer it more than just Fridays at this point. But no concerns with them. As far as sales go and how successful it is, obviously the community likes the flexibility as the feedback that we're getting for folks to be able to get a drink for Friday After 5 specifically at the patio at River Park and be able to walk down the street to go to Real Hacienda's food truck or go to Trier Tip's food truck to get their dinner and not have to get a dinner and take it in and be kind of contained within one spot. So the community seems to enjoy it and having that flexibility. Sales-wise, some of the businesses have seen a small increase in sales. Other of the businesses have seen upwards of a 15 to 20% increase in gross sales over the first 5 or 6 weeks of last year compared to this year. So certainly weather plays into that. School being out probably plays into that some too, with the first few weeks. But it seems to be working like we had hoped it would and that the commission had the envisions of to allow those drinks up and down at different times. So we've had other communities reaching out to us, and we've answered numerous questions from them wanting to try to duplicate the efforts that we've got here in town.
I told you to copyright that thing.
I know. But it's a good thing. Just like Friday After 5 gets questions every year of people trying to imitate and duplicate what they do. So it's a group. The Home Rule Cities group is good. We had presented it to them a couple years ago, and so several of them have reached out to say, how is it working? What hiccups have you had? So we're glad that it's working well so far, and we'll continue to go down that road and see anything that might need to be changed for next season.
Okay, how'd the pub crawl go?
I didn't get an answer back. Logistically, and with that, it worked great.
Logistically, it was all right?
It worked just fine, but I didn't get a feedback from them as far as their fundraising goals or anything like that. I know they'd reached the number of teams they were hoping for participants.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anybody else? Commissioner Smith-Wright?
I just wanted to thank Tim for the job that he's doing and for the 4th of July program. It was awesome. I stay downtown every year for the 4th of July and for the air show just to talk to people from out of state or wherever to see what they are thinking about our community. And I talked to someone from Oklahoma, Indiana, and then someone from Shepherdsville, Kentucky. And they said that they have not seen any place that this size that puts on that kind of a 4th of July show. And also, they commended this city about how well it's kept and the cleanliness of it. And they just could not believe that they woke up the next day and the streets were clean and all of that. So, Wayne, to your group too, also, thank you so much for that.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's a pretty well-oiled machine. They do a tremendous job, whether it's barbecue or July 4th. When you wake up the next morning, it looks like a totally different place, and they do a great job with it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Ross.
Yep.
Next item is ambulance update, Fire Chief Steve Mitchell, and he's got a PowerPoint.
One slide.
One?
One
What?
slide.
Wait, is he
Hey,
sick?
I make fun of this, but I had compliments from people that you all negotiated with to try and get this ambulance service and to a person. they really commended you on how well you performed and how knowledgeable you were about taking care of our community with this ambulance service. And I know the commission wants to thank you for your efforts in that.
Thank you very much. So if you recall, I'm going to go on and talk about what happened after the contracting stage. So an outfit named Mercy Ambulance, which is incorporated in Kentucky out of Lexington, actually got the contract. They are owned by Global Medical Response, and they utilize AMR to operate that for them. So our main transition team, I wanted to give you an idea, was Eric Rode is the president of the Southeast region for AMR, and Brett Jovanovich is the vice president of that. And our main player that we had the most interaction with was Josh Spencer, who's the regional director out of Birmingham, Alabama. He could not be here tonight. The three that are here tonight, the one that we'll see the most now is Sean Hale, director of operations. He's out of Nashville. Sean? And retained with us from Yellow is Jamie Harden, and Billy Bratcher is the local operations manager and supervisors. And they're with us tonight and can help answer any questions as well. From our staff, besides myself, I want to recognize Battalion Chief Coulter Tate, who also worked very hard on this process with us as well. So we'll go through this. These may not necessarily be in the right order because a lot of things happen quick and at the same time, but I'll go through them very quickly. First of all was the asset acquisition. We helped get Procurement and AMR together, and they were able to purchase basically everything except for the building, down to the office equipment, the desk, and everything. We worked with them, put together with Procurement. They agreed to do a 2-year lease of the building. So the lease, Procurement as a company is actually going away. So I believe that the parent company of Procurement actually owns the building, so they've done a 2-year lease. AMR is not in the real estate business, so they'll actually be looking either for a future site or for somebody to buy that building and allow them to get a long-term lease to stay there in the future, and we'll help them out with that. Well, we immediately got Yellow Ambulance signed over the radio frequencies, the FCC licenses for those, so they could stay the same. And I also want to recognize Dispatch Director Paul Nave, who worked with both AMR and Yellow to work on that communication transfer and the dispatch and how all that's going to work. And if there's any questions about that, we can elaborate on that in a few minutes. One thing that we thought was real important and we set up right away is coordinated 2 meetings for Yellow Ambulance employees. I can just imagine what they went through from January 1st until we had the agreement in May. And so we immediately set those meetings up. And I think for a majority of those people, you could see the stress level when they walked in the door, and you could see the relief when they walked out the door. Those meetings, Josh and Sean and their staff did a great job with those meetings, and everything's just gone great since then. The hiring process included an application process, interviews, drug testing, and physical ability testing, and all that happened very quick. As of today, they have 63 full and part-time employees on the street. So, and I think our goal was 65, so we're right there where we wanted to be. We set up some networking meetings. We knew there's people that AMR, these people we just mentioned, would need to meet in town. We set those up, had networking meetings for them, and then they set up their orientation and training. AMR had, oh wow, I don't know how many people in town over the last month from everywhere.
20 at one point.
Nashville, Mississippi, St. Louis, I mean everywhere. Virginia, all in town going through the training. They had to learn new record systems and go through their orientation. They went through driver's training. A lot happened. They've also installed electronic updates in the ambulances. and equipment updates. So I'll give an example, updating cardiac monitors and things like that in the ambulance themselves. We worked with Dr. Holbeman, agreed to stay on as the medical director, and they were able to get that agreement done fairly quick as well. And he will stay our medical director as well. Then we had to work on what would day one look like. So we all agreed that day one shouldn't be at midnight. So we moved it up to 7 p.m., which is a normal shift time. So it happened on June 30th. And then I got to give a lot of credit to Jamie and Billy. There for a while, they were kind of wearing two hats. So within that last 2 weeks, they had to keep yellow running, and they had to come up with the schedule for day one, or I should say week one, really, to get all that. So after everybody was hired, they knew who was who, and then the supervisors, the new supervisors on the street were selected, so your shift supervisors. Then he had to put together the schedule to make all that happen June 30th at 7 p.m. So kudos to you guys, and it came off smooth. June 30th, 7 o'clock. I guarantee you, nobody on the street, nobody in the public knew what happened, but the transition happened, and it went really well. What was it? About an hour later, the storm hit, and not a hiccup. Everything went great, and they were able to do very well. You'll see on the street, the ambulances haven't been marked yet. Those will be completed over the next 2 weeks, starting within about 2 days from now. And then over about a 2-week period, all the ambulances should be remarked with the AMR logos. So that's where we're at today. Since July 1st, no problems. And be happy to answer any questions or defer them to AMR staff.
City Manager?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to acknowledge Chief Mitchell and Battalion Chief Tate as well. We were in probably 20 different meetings, at least over a 4 to 5 month period as we went through this transition process. And although it was not a particularly fun process, it was a very smooth and productive process. So I'd like to publicly thank Chief and all the time and effort that he put into the process.
Chief, my only concern was the coordination between police and fire and the ambulance service. Did that mesh pretty well?
I think so, from our side. Any problems from your side? No. So
Okay,
I
because that
think
was
so.
what kind of as a coaching thing to try and get all the team together.
We will have, we had our first meeting with the MCA board back in June, and there'll be a little bit of coaching with them on the new agreement and how all that works out, and they got to meet the AMR staff, but Jamie's still on board. He's still going to be the one putting together the report, so all that should go smooth as well.
Thank you, sir. Great job. Commissioner Condor.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, it's astounding, the list that you just put up there on one page, that all of the work and everything else that has been done for a 1-year contract.
Yes.
That is absolutely amazing, the amount of effort that went into a 1-year contract. Thank you very much.
Okay, just like a barbershop. Next.
Thank you.
Next.
The city project list. City Manager Nate Pagan.
Thank you, Mayor.
Not on probation anymore, by the way.
I was worried.
Were you worried?
Mayor, Commissioners, you've had the project list to review. Staff is happy to address any questions you have.
Okay, any questions from the commission? Could someone expound on the dog park just a tad?
Amanda had another event, but I did actually ask today for an update, as luck would have it. And I understand that the fence contractor now has the right fence. He has that on his property, on his shop, and he will be on the site tomorrow to start construction.
See, that's what the city does. You know, they put this contract out and it got awarded to somebody in
Louisville, I believe.
Louisville or Lexington. And they brought junk in here, the way I see it. And our staff said, no, that's not good enough. Bring the real stuff. And they fixed that right there before it became a problem. So I just wanted to make sure everybody understood. That's because the dog park people have been bothering me about when it's going to, fence is going to be up. So, you know, they have my cell phone number. So,
They probably still have
okay.
it.
Commissioner Condor.
Thank you, Mayor. On the project list, the last item is the triplet twist. If Ms. Shelton could address the bottom line of that project is changed dramatically. The investment from the public, it says, is around $2.5 million that we have invested. But the private side of that has jumped to 11.3. Ms. Shelton, could you really expand what has happened in just like 3 months?
Commissioner Condor, thank you for the recognition, and I'm happy to answer that question for you. For about a year, Wabuck Development has been working on the Senior Grace Living Facility that'll be located just south of the hospital. They've been in negotiations with the hospital on property and plans, so that agreement is complete. They are going to make application to Kentucky Housing Corporation to facilitate the construction of about 48 senior assisted living facility units for age 55 and older, and it will be about an $8.5 to $9 million investment, and we are excited because they get extra points because they're located in an NRSA, which is the Triplet Twist District.
Very well. Thank you very much. That was great to see the number just go pop is what happened there.
I liked it too.
Ms. Sheldon, could you tell us about all the help you got now in your department, please? Just a little quick blurb on this department of one that became a department of 1.5, so.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I have an outstanding summer intern. His name is Lucas Knight. He will be a senior at Western Kentucky University, and he's been amazing help in helping put together the new NRSA. So I'm just for a few more weeks, not a department of one. So. Kind
of like a Gatton kid too, isn't he?
He's a Gatton scholar. I'll be sad to lose him, but he is a local boy, so we're happy to have him here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Shelton. Next item do you have anything else on the project list from anybody up here? Okay, before I adjourn, I would like to announce the next meeting is going to be another special called meeting. It will be Thursday, July the 11th at 4:30. We have to share 406, I think, with somebody. Is that correct? P&Z comes in there at 5. So we have the special called meeting July the 11th at 4:30. Okay. Anything else to come before this? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Adjourn.